Hey, what's up? John Sonmez here from simpleprogrammer.com. So I got a good question that I thought I'd answer that I actually changed my mind a little bit on this after reading the article that was linked to in this question. So I got a question that says, hey, I'm wondering what's your opinion on these, quote, bots? Is it something it's something I came across recently, and there's a small crowd who even say they're going to replace apps in the future. Here's an article on them, and he points to a TechCrunch article called Forget Apps, Now the Bots Take Over. And so this is interesting, I think, for a couple of reasons. One of them is that we sort of always have this pendulum swinging thing in technology. I've talked about this a few times, but essentially we always go back and forth. But if you think about it, the pendulum moves along the X and Y axis, but as it goes back and forth on the X and Y, it actually goes forward on the Z axis. So it actually, we make advancements by this sort of pattern. It's like a Z pattern that moves us forward, and that's how we move forward in a lot of areas, right? This is just a sort of principle, sort of common way that things work, that we go back to what was old is now new, but there's innovations along the way, and we hopefully progress our way forward as we go through this winding road. The same could be said of bots, right? Messaging, right? Remember AOL Messenger? Remember ICQ? Remember way back when messaging was the craze, when everyone had ICQ, and there were AOL messaging bots, and there were all kinds of chat applications. And remember when we used IRC, and we had IRC bots? Do you remember IRC bots? Come on, guys, right? Like, there were IRC bots way back when. This was a long, long time ago. For those of you that are too young to remember this, look it up. I mean, we're talking like, what is it, like 20 years ago, probably around that, maybe 15, somewhere 15, 20 years ago. So why do I say that? Because there's probably a good chance that we are going to swing the pendulum back to the messaging. I do think that messaging and bots in general is a fad because we've seen it before and it didn't really take hold. It didn't really change lives. It didn't change things. Now, what's interesting though, that sort of changed my mind, because I've been thinking about these bots a lot. I've been hearing people talk about it and how it's this big craze and everyone needs to get a bot. And I'm not buying into that. I'm really not buying into that. But maybe that is the thing. But what is changing my mind was actually in this article where it's talking about replacing apps, and then I was thinking, how could bots replace apps? And then I realized in the article it talks about this idea that we have so many apps to do different things. Everyone's got an app for that. Wouldn't it be better to have a bot, and you can just issue the command to the bot? And normally, even still, I was like, that still seems silly. Like, am I really going to order pizza from Domino's by telling it add mushrooms, add cheese, remove sauce, or whatever that you do? That seems silly. Why not just go to a web page and order it, or an app? But then that app, or that article, also talked about the idea that a lot of these bots are able to send. Now, it's not just text, right? It's also like graphical components that they could send. So they could send some, let's say, some CSS and HTML that might have a drop down, or might have selections, or might have other information. Now, that's pretty interesting. That's where things start to get a little bit weird here, as we're almost reinventing the web in a way, right? That you're getting bits and pieces of information and graphical data as well. Now, there's where I could see things gaining traction and that being extremely useful, and that replacing apps. Because if you could have a bot, right, if I could sit there in my Slack channel and I can ask for things, I can do everything from that one place, and I can get the user interface and everything, that makes a lot more sense. I still am a bit bearish on this. I still am not ready to go bullish on, I believe virtual reality, you can check out the video I did on Oculus Rift, but I believe virtual reality is here and it's here to stay, and I believe that it will revolutionize everything, but I'm not feeling the same way about bots. I just can't. It just doesn't make a lot of sense. Like I said, I've seen it before, and I think that we'll make some advancements, and the pendulum is probably swinging in the bot direction, but I just wouldn't go all in. I wouldn't devote my career. I wouldn't devote everything to it. It just seemed very gimmicky to me. I still don't see it it really making a lot of sense. I don't see it being mass used by people instead of apps. I feel like apps and web pages are still easier to use, and I just don't see things going fully in that direction, even though there's this bots craze right now. So that's my opinion on it. Again, I could be wrong, right? I mean, I've been wrong before, certainly, but I'm not seeing it. I'm not feeling it. I can't see myself interacting with bots all the time. I think it did. I don't know if I mentioned this in a video, but there's this like level of hierarchy of things that I want to interact with in my life, right? So when I pick up the phone, okay, the best thing that I want to interact with is, if I have to pick up the phone, right? If I'm going to interact with something, is a human from the United States of America who understands my problem, who actually works for the company that I'm calling, and it's really actually named Joe or Samantha, and it doesn't have a fake name, okay? That's number one. Number two is someone from India pretending to live in the United States who doesn't know what the hell they're doing, is just working at some call center and doesn't really give a shit about me at all, okay? And I have to jump through all these hoops to explain some situation. They just follow some policy. Number three is a damn bot. I really don't want to talk to a computer. Okay, I guess number three would be just talking to a computer, and number four would probably be a bot, a dumb computer that I have to type in order to communicate with, and they give me back, crap, right? So, that's, it's interesting. I don't know. It's interesting to think about the automation. Like from a programmer perspective, I think bots make more sense to us because command line, right? But do we really want to interface with the world via command line? I mean, that's the question really that the bots whole thing comes down to, is, are people in general going to want to interface with the world and with companies via the command line? Because that's what it is. To me, that's no. To me, the answer has already been answered, and it's been no, right? We had that. We had DOS. We had Unix. I mean, we still have those things, but people generally prefer to little click with the mouse. They don't prefer to go and interact at the command line basis. If we have some advances in language processing, if we have something a lot better than Siri or Alexa, things could change. But for now, like I said, that's my opinion. All right, let me know your opinion. Leave a comment below. I want to hear it. If you're developing bots, if you're seeing something that I don't see, go ahead, leave a comment, or heck, do a video if you want, and maybe I'll post it and we can talk about that. If you like this video, if you haven't subscribed already to the channel, I don't know what you're doing, click that subscribe button, and I will talk to you next time. Take care.